Welcome back to Vancouver Carpenter. Yes, today is going to be the second day using the Festool PLANEX crazy cool vacuum sander. Now, the first thing I have to do is sand the tiny house. And believe it or not, I'm actually not going to use this. I'm going to use my good old-fashioned pole sander because this is my finish coat. I'm not experienced with this enough, and I'm gonna wreck it. But first I gotta get in there and finish that job because it's what I want to do the least. That's the way I roll. I finish the jobs I like the least first. So there's not much I'm gonna need for this job. I mean, a mask, a sanding pad, a sanding pole. So I've got one of these old Better Than Ever sanding poles. These are like the industry standard around here. And I've got foam backed sandpaper on here. I think this is 180. Which is pretty fine for what I like to do. You know, I usually like more like a worn down 150, but it'll be good enough. And then there's only one other thing, actually two other things I need. One is I like to have my little angled 3-inch knife for picking away in the corners to get what I can't get with the sanding sponge. And the last thing is a light. So I just use my old YouTuber light ring here. I shine it down the wall, and that way I can see all the little deficiencies that need to be sanded while I'm working. Now, because this is super dusty, I'm not going to bring my nice camera in. I'm just going to set up the old iPhone and do a quick little time lapse for you guys. Oh, it's dusty work, you guys. Don't like this part of the job. But a couple of quick sanding tips here. One of them is when you're sanding in a space that is narrower than your pole sander, which is what that one is. If you keep your hand on the back of the pole, you're going to be less likely to smack it into a wall when you're sanding. Because, you know, first off, you're not going to want to hit your hand. Second, your hand's softer than the end of this pole. So that's going to help a lot. The second one is how to sand those corners, you know, like the ones that arc up to there. So there really isn't any good way to get a sanding sponge in there. I mean, you can do some pretty weird things, like, so you could do something like put some spray adhesive on one of these and spray adhesive some sandpaper on and like do something like that. But generally, I just get in there as much as I can with a sponge, and then I take my knife and I just kind of scrape the rest of it out. And what you got to remember is you're going to be slopping a bunch of coats of paint in that corner. You're going to have some chances to tune it up if you need to. So it's not going to be a big deal. Just scrape it out as best you can and get on with the rest of the project. Speaking of getting on with the rest of the project, I got to get in there and sand this thing, get started with the Festool, but first I got to get cleaned off. Alright, so the stuff I was planning on fixing is like right here, because of the 1/2-inch drywall and 3/8 wall, I could feel a bump, and I wanted to just like sand this down, way down, and then even sand the drywall down until it was 3/8, so that I couldn't feel this lump and have this huge built out patch. But you know what? Looks like we don't have to. And that was only part of it. So the one that actually bugs me is this one over here, where you can see that because of that 3/8 patch, I had to build out the wall. So what I was going to do again is I was going to take the Festool and like just plane that all down until you could see the bare like inside gypsum with no paper, and then I was just going to patch that with mesh tape, and then it would be much flatter. But I brought it to the homeowner's attention and he was like, I don't care. And you know what? I love that. I love when you get customers that are totally reasonable. You know, like sometimes you get customers that can see a fly turd under 3 coats of paint. And then other times you get customers that are totally reasonable and they're like, no man, I put 1/2 inch board in there, it's 3/8, build it out, no biggie. So that's cool. Alright, this thing is pretty amazing. You guys may have noticed that I didn't realize till halfway through that I could turn off my light that I was shining across the wall and actually get better results just using the light ring on this. So it looks really cool, especially on video. And I could definitely see what I was doing. So the times where I was leaving it in the same place for too long and starting to get a line from, you know, going like in one direction, I was able to correct that stuff. I would like to see another interface pad. This one feels like it lifts up a little bit around the edges, so I do think there can be a little bit of improvement still, but I am absolutely confident to use this on my first coats. So when doing a large ceiling, it'll probably feel really good. The only thing I noticed was when I had the vacuum turned up to high on this, that it bogged down just a little bit, so it definitely slowed down with full suction. But getting onto that, the dust collection on this is amazing. As you could see, I sanded with no mask or anything. I didn't get any dust on me. So the dust collection, while I doubt it actually is 100%, it sure seemed like it was 100%. So I'm really impressed with that. Very powerful. And it didn't feel too heavy overhead once the vacuum was actually on and it was up against the ceiling. It felt pretty darn good there. So overall, I'm impressed. I'm really happy to get to keep using this on my jobs. So once again, I want to say a big thanks to Festool. So once again, I want to planes. So once again, I want to say a big thanks to Festool for sending this out. Definitely stoked. As for what I have to do with the rest of the day here, yeah, I'm gonna coat it again, which is gonna look exactly like it did the other day, except twice as slow because I gotta fill all the bubbles and then skim coat it again. So I'm not gonna film that. Also, because I wanna go skateboarding. So the more I film, the less I'm gonna be skating today. All right, oh, I'm all croaky. I haven't eaten all day. Just drank water. It's like, I think I just had one little bowl of cereal and drank a little water, and I've just been working all day. I don't eat anywhere near as much as I used to when I was younger. I'm tending to function better without heavy lunches. Anyways, little TMI there. The powder room in the house is also looking great. I'm really happy with how that turned out. I'd say everything's looking real nice, flat, smooth. The pinholes really weren't very bad. I've been using like the Pro Rock all-purpose mud. That stuff's been nice. It's, you know, mud formulas change over time. It's super weird. So that stuff is sanding harder than it used to, but it's going on nice and slick, and it's not leaving a bunch of porosity and bubbles as badly as, for whatever reason, the CGC one is. So a little bit of technical mud nerd info there for you. Anyways, I'm gonna go grab a coffee. I think I'm gonna get a coffee muffin and go do my favorite thing of the day.
my rhythm infrequent. The pulse of my breath reflecting like sequins.
Alright you guys, that's enough of that. It's been a busy day. I want to turn the camera off, and I know most of you guys don't even come here for the skate footage anyways. But tune in to the next episode of the tiny house renovation. We're going to meet the homeowner, have a little chat, see what sort of stuff he gets up to on a regular basis, and, you know, maybe give him a chance to redeem himself after, you know, showing his attempt at taping that led him to call me. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you've gotten something out of this video, remember, feather that like button. If you're really getting something out of these videos, I definitely encourage you to subscribe. Appreciate it. It's the ecosystem, helps me out. That's enough blabbity blabs. Time for me to go so I can ride my roller plank. Just want to say thanks for watching. Hope you guys are doing well. Till the next video.